Hello Year 7 and welcome to your penultimate Coraline video, next to last. If you don't know what penultimate means, new word for you there. Okay, so your routines are soon to be changed, but don't let your standards slip just when we're nearly at the finish line, okay? And really important, let's finish with a good impression right to the end to your teacher, okay? So Coraline's reminding you to hand in your work. Okay, so your title, The End of the Battle, and the date, please. I've seen some really nicely, neatly underlined dates and titles, so well done to those of you who are keeping up your standards. So if you want to pause the video whilst you do that. And then I'd like you to think about what qualities does a traditional hero or heroine have? So you can pause the video for a moment to have a think about that question. You can write that question down underneath your title. Okay, so traditionally, a hero or a heroine, what qualities do they need to have? What did you get? Physically strong. Think about all those films that you might have watched with heroes or heroines in. They're normally physically strong. Special powers. I've got a special weapon. Thor's got his, whatever it is, his hammer, is it? I don't know. I've got a magical or special outfit of some sort. Superman going to a telephone box and whiz around and wear his underpants on the outside. And they battle villains over and over again. They've always got some kind of battle going on all the time, haven't they? Batman's always got some kind of villain that he needs to be defeating, sometimes be a different one all the time. Okay, so you may have got some slightly different ones. See if you can make sure you get those down underneath your question. You may need to pause the video and then press play when you're ready to move on. Right, so a little frightening picture on the screen there for you. Hope that's not too scary. But the other mother is building herself up for the big battle as well. So we're going to read chapter 11. The end of the battle. Once inside, in the flat, or rather in the flat that was not hers, Coraline was pleased to see that it had not transformed into the empty drawing that the rest of the house seemed to have become. It had depth and shadows, and someone who stood in the shadows waiting for Coraline to return. "So you're back," said the other mother. She did not sound pleased. "And you brought vermin with you?" "No," said Coraline, "I brought a friend." She could feel the cat stiffening under her hands as if it were anxious to be away. Coraline wanted to hold on to it like a teddy bear for reassurance, but she knew that cats hate to be squeezed, and she suspected that frightened cats were liable to bite and scratch if provoked in any way, even if they were on your side. "You know I love you," said the other mother flatly. "You have a very funny way of showing it," said Coraline. She walked down the hallway, then turned into the drawing room, steady step by steady step, pretending that she could not feel the other mother's blank black eyes on her back. Her grandmother's formal furniture was still there, and the painting on the wall of the strange fruit, but now the fruit on the painting had been eaten, and all that remained in the bowl was the browning core of an apple, several plum and peach stones, and the stem of what had formerly been a bunch of grapes. The lion-pawed table raked the carpet with its clawed wooden feet, as if it were impatient for something. At the end of the room, in the corner, stood the wooden door, which had once, in another place, opened onto a plain brick wall. Coraline tried not to stare at it. The window showed nothing but mist. This was it. Coraline knew. The moment of truth. The unravelling time. The other mother had followed her in. Now she stood in the centre of the room, between Coraline and the mantelpiece, and looked down at Coraline with black button eyes. It was funny, thought Coraline. The other mother did not look anything at all like her own mother. She wondered how she had ever been deceived into imagining a resemblance. The other mother was huge. Her head almost brushed the ceiling of the room and very pale, the colour of a spider's belly. Her hair writhed and twined about her head, and her teeth were sharp as knives. "Well," said the other mother sharply, "where are they?" Coraline leaned against an armchair, adjusted the cat with her left hand, and put her right hand into her pocket, pulled out the 3 glass marbles. They were a frosted grey, and they clinked together in the palm of her hand. The other mother reached her white fingers out for them, but Coraline slipped them back into her pocket. She knew it was true then. The other mother had no intention of letting her go, or of keeping her word. It had been an entertainment and nothing more. "Hold on," she said. "We aren't finished yet, are we?" The other mother looked daggers, but she smiled sweetly. "No," she said, "I suppose not. After all, you still need to find your parents, don't you?" "Yes," said Coraline. "I must not look at the mantelpiece," she thought. "I must not even think about it." "Well," said the other mother, "produce them. Would you like to look in the cellar again? I have some other interesting things hidden down there, you know." "No," said Coraline. "I know where my parents are." The cat was heavy in her arms. She moved it forward, unhooking its claws from her shoulders as she did so. "Where?" "It stands to reason," said Coraline. "I've looked everywhere you'd hide them. They aren't in the house." The other mother stood very still, giving nothing away, lips tightly closed. She might have been a wax statue. Even her hair had stopped moving. "So," Coraline continued, both hands wrapped firmly around the black cat, "I know where they have to be. You've hidden them in the passageway between the houses, haven't you? They are behind that door." She nodded her head towards the door in the corner. The other mother remained statue still, but a hint of a smile crept back onto her face. "Oh, they are they?" "Why don't you open it?" said Coraline. "They'll be there all right." It was her only way home, she knew, but it all depended on the other mother needing to gloat, needing not only to win, but to show that she had won. The other mother reached her hand slowly into her apron pocket and produced the black iron key. The cat stirred uncomfortably in Coraline's arms, as if it wanted to get down. "Just stay there for a few moments longer," she thought at it, wondering if it could hear her. "I'll get us both home," I said. "I would, I promise." She felt the cat relax ever so slightly in her arms. The other mother walked over to the door and pushed the key into the lock. She turned the key. Coraline heard the mechanism clunk heavily. She was already starting as quietly as she could, step by step, to back away towards the mantelpiece. The other mother pushed down on the door handle and pulled open the door, revealing a corridor behind it, dark and empty. "There," she said, waving her hands at the corridor. The expression of delight on her face was a very bad thing to see. "You're wrong. You don't know where your parents are, do you? They aren't there." She turned and looked at Coraline. "Now," she said, "you're going to stay here forever and always." "No," said Coraline, "I'm not." And as hard as she could, she threw the black cat towards the other mother. It yowled and landed on the other mother's head, claws flailing, teeth bared, fierce and angry. Fur on end, it looked half again as big as it was in real life. Without waiting to see what would happen, Coraline reached up to the mantelpiece, closed her hand around the snow globe, then pushed it deep into the pocket of her dressing gown. The cat made a deep, ululating yowl and sank its teeth into the other mother's cheek. She was flailing at it. Blood ran from the cuts on her white face, not red blood, but a deep, tarry black stuff. Coraline ran for the door. She pulled the key out of the lock. "Leave her! Come on!" she shouted at the cat. It hissed and swiped its scalpel-sharp claws at the other mother's face in one wild rake, which left black ooze trickling from several gashes on her nose. Then it sprang down towards Coraline, Quickly, she said. The cat ran towards her and they both stepped into the dark corridor. Phew. Okay, so Coraline got out. She's got the 3 souls and she's kind of got her mum and dad in the snow globe. So we looked at traditional heroes just before we read that chapter. So now I want to think, how does our hero, Coraline, compare to other heroes? So underneath your list that you wrote at the beginning of the lesson, I want us to make another list about Coraline. How does our hero, Coraline, compare to others? So if we look at that list about traditional heroes, how might you compare Coraline to those? So I want you to just pause the video and I want you to think. You can even do it side by side if you want, rather than underneath if you've got room. So how might you compare Coraline to a traditional hero? So you could look at those and think, is Coraline strong? Does she have any special powers? What about a weapon? Can you come up with a list that is similar or different to a traditional hero? So pause the video and see if you can come up with a list that compares Coraline to a traditional hero instead. And then press play when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, Year 7 then, what did you get? What did Coraline? Well, she's not physically strong, is she? She's not muscly. She doesn't go to the gym and work out. She's just a normal young girl. She doesn't have any special powers. She's not magical in any way. She does have a magical item though, doesn't she? She's got the stone with the hole in it. She doesn't have a special outfit. In fact, she purposely gets changed out of the clothes from the other mother and puts on her pyjamas and dressing gown and slippers because she wants to wear her own normal clothes. She wants to be herself. And then she's only got the one battle to fight. She just has this one battle, but she is very persistent. She does not give up until the end. Okay, so if you need to pause the video to get those down, do that and then press play when we're ready to move on. Right, so a few questions for you. How does she then defeat the other mother? We're looking at the end of the battle. How does she win? There's a little reminder up there for you. Full sentences, capital letters and full stops. You don't need to write the question down, okay, but you do need to answer it in a full sentence with a capital letter and full stop. So I'll bring the questions up first of all. You can pause after each question or you can wait until the questions are all on the screen and then answer them together. Okay, so question number 1. How is Coraline prepared for the battle? So think, right, before she goes into battle, how does she get herself ready for it? How does Coraline behave towards the cat when she enters the flat? And don't forget, you can always go back in the video and have a look at the text that's on the screen. Why do you think she's like that? Why do you think she behaves that way towards the cat? How do we know Coraline is calm when faced with the other mother? She doesn't appear really frightened. The other mother, as you can see on the screen, looks pretty scary at this point. Her appearance has changed. She doesn't look like she did when Coraline first met her. Coraline realises that. And I've also put a little challenging question for you. If you can, go back in the video to find the text. If you can, see if you can use a quote in that answer. How do we know she's calm? And you could look at what she says. How does a black cat help Coraline? It's a little bit of a different helper in this story because Coraline uses it more than it helps her. So how does the black cat help Coraline? And then final question. Coraline didn't defeat the other mother by strength in a big fight. It wasn't like a big wrestle where she had to punch her. So how did she do it? Can you explain in your own words how Coraline defeated the other mother. Okay, so I want you to pause the video and I want you to answer those questions in your own words, in full sentences, remembering your really important capital letters and full stops, Year 7. Press play when you're ready to move on. Okay, so what did we get then? Question number 1. Well, she's taken everything with her, hasn't she? She's prepared for battle because she's made sure she's got a helper, the talking cat, with her. Remember, we were talking about fairy tales and how heroes manage to defeat their villains. She's got her helper, the talking cat. You may have said she's got a magical item with her as well. You may have said she's feeling brave and she's confident. You may have said she's planned out, she's thought about it beforehand. Absolutely. She even kind of knows about the snow globe, doesn't she? She sort of knows where it is and where her parents are. Question 2. How does Coraline behave towards a cat when she enters the flat? She wants to hold on tight to make it feel better, but she knows it won't like it. My cat hates being squeezed. So she holds it firmly and then she tries to let it hear her thoughts so it relaxes. The last thing she wants is that cat running off so she can't throw it at the other mother. Okay? Well done if you got that. That was a tricky one. Why do you think she behaves that way? Well, she understands the cat is scared. She's in touch with the cat's emotions, isn't she? She remembers what it is like to be scared. But also, she knows that you're brave when you do something when you're scared. Now, if you were thinking back to other things in the book, how do we know that Coraline understands how the cat is feeling at that point? Going back into that house, knowing that the other mother is there, knowing that the cat is scared and she's brave, what does it remind us of? There's a clue going to appear on the screen. Goes back to the wasp story, doesn't it? That wasp story is really important, of what Coraline's dad taught her about being brave. Going back in, knowing that you're scared, knowing that the other mother is there, that is what bravery is. Okay, well done. I love that wasp. Question number 4. How do we know Coraline is calm when faced with the other mother? Well, she walks step by steady step. Did you go back and find that quotation? She also speaks in a really calm way. She almost makes fun of the other mother when she says, "You've got a funny way of showing it." The other mother says, "I love you." Funny way of showing it. It's not how you speak to someone who's really scary, is it? How does the black cat help Coraline? Well, it doesn't fight the other mother for it. Well, it does, but only because Coraline throws it at her. But it helps her stay calm. She needs to be calm to help it stay calm. So because the cat is scared, Coraline has to stay calm, because if she's frightened, the cat will be more frightened. So having something to stay calm for helps her. Also, when she threw the cat at the other mother, it attacked her, so Coraline had time to run through the portal door. Coraline didn't defeat the other mother by strength in a big fight. So how did she do it? Explain in your own words. Okay, so I haven't given a full answer for this because that's up to you in your own words. But did you include some ideas about tricking her, about staying calm, about saying it was behind the door, about the snow globe and not thinking about it because if the other mother saw her looking at her? Okay, so that'll be what your teacher wants to see when you upload your work questions to number 6. Okay, well done. Those were tricky questions. So well done for your hard work on those. Right, the final piece of work for this lesson then. Coraline, our perfect hero. Little brainstorm for you. So I want you to think, what makes Coraline our perfect hero? You can do this as a brainstorm, you can do it as a little list. Can you think of up to 6? Try see if you can get a minimum of 3. Can you think of 3 to 6 things that make Coraline a perfect hero? We've talked about heroes a lot. Heroes in stories, heroes in fairy tales, traditional heroes. But this is Coraline. What qualities does Coraline have that makes her a perfect hero to us? So I just want you to pause the video at this point and see if you can do a little brainstorm or a little list. What makes Coraline a perfect hero? And press play when you're ready to see if you agree with me or I agree with you. Okay, year 7. So this is what I got. You might have got different ideas. There's quite a lot of things you can say about her, but I thought, well, she's just an ordinary girl, so we can relate to her. She could be anybody. She could be us. She uses tricks and games. I like that. She just uses her wit and her thoughts. She's learned to be brave from her parents. She remembers that story. She remembers that lesson that her dad taught her. Thing that her parents taught her, and she uses it to defeat the other mother. She isn't super strong, and she doesn't need superpowers to win. And she isn't afraid to admit she was wrong about wanting everything. Sometimes we do that, don't we? We want everything. I just want everything. And she says to the father downstairs in the cellar, I don't want everything. To have everything, what would I do then? That would be boring. Okay? And then, of course, perfect hero, she puts others before herself. She risks her own life for her parents and the souls of the ghost children. You may have got some of those. You may have got some different ones because it's how she's perfect to you. Okay? Well done, year 7. Okay, so what I want you to do then, just want you to try and write that answer up into a very short paragraph. How is Coraline your perfect hero? There are some sentence starts on the screen for you that you can use. I think Coraline is a perfect hero. You could compare her to a traditional hero by saying, while she may not be super strong like a superhero she is, you could put what you like most about Coraline. Coraline is heroic because, so we're using an adjective there to describe her. Coraline fits my ideal vision of a hero because. Then I like this last sentence. Heroes don't wear capes. They are like Coraline because. Okay, so just a couple of sentences in your own words describing why Coraline is your perfect hero. Pause the video before we look at the last slide. That's the last slide because we're looking good. Well done, year 7. I hope you're looking forward to your last remote lesson on Coraline before you're back in school. See you next lesson. Bye.